Welcome back. Welcome back to Totally Unbiased. We're back again with another episode, and this episode finally got the whole crew back. Aiden, Andrew, they're here, and I know why you're here for the fantasy side. Andrew, give them the socials.
As usual,
What's
guys,
going
on
on?
TikTok and Instagram, you could follow us at Totally Unbiased, on Twitter at YT_unbiased, and then right here on YouTube where you're watching this video, make sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications, and like this video and stay up to date with our daily content.
All right, so we got a little bit what we got today. We're telling you who you should add, who you should drop, and trade for or trade away. It's a new segment we got going. So, Aiden, tell the people who they should add off the waivers and give a start right away.
Yeah, so
Aiden?
some guys that I think you should add and give them a start off the waivers. The first one that I want to talk to you guys about is Derek Carr. I think he's had a down week. He's probably not as sought out as many of the other quarterbacks. And, I think he has a good schedule up ahead, and I think he's trending upwards.
Definitely. Derek Carr, I'm in with that one. Andrew, what do you think?
No, I definitely believe in Derek Carr. He's played a bunch of good games. I'm honestly surprised it took us this long throughout the season to say he deserved a fantasy start. I mean, he did have an okay week against the Giants. He kind of struggled a little bit, but down the stretch, they do have some easy games, and I definitely think it is a start.
All right, looks like we probably lost Aiden. It's frozen on his face. That picture doesn't do him much justice. When we get him back, I'll add him back. Andrew, I'm just gonna run through. We'll back and forth this a little bit. Dearness Johnson with Nick Chubb out and with Felton potentially out. I personally think they'll both come back, but I'd say add them and add Dearness to give him a start if he's available.
I would give him a start, but I definitely wouldn't have him as my top waiver claim because Chubb isn't going to be out forever. So if there's another position that you're lacking at, if you're lacking a wide receiver and you need to pick somebody up that we got on this list coming up, you might want to go for him first before you go for Johnson.
I disagree. You got to grab him. I mean, if he starts, he's a 17-point projection. You pick him up. He should be your number one claim. There's nobody on the waivers unless James Conner's on the waivers. There's nobody on the waivers that you should pick up and start right away more than Dearness Johnson. All right, Aiden.
Yeah,
you're back,
with Dearness Johnson, I think he's. Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. But anyway, Dearness Johnson, I think he's one of the more valuable waiver claims of the year, honestly, because I think at this point he's a great insurance back for Nick Chubb. And like you said, when you pick him up off the waivers in a week where Chubb is out, he's projected 17. And when he filled in for Chubb last time, he scored 28. So I like him a lot. I think the waivers are kind of dead this week, so he's definitely the best option. So for the next person in our add them and give him a start is Jordan Howard. He's a pretty interesting case. They elevated him this week. He had 11 carries for, I think it was 71 yards and a touchdown. He definitely took that starting role away from Boston Scott pretty quickly. I think he's a good add at this point. I think Philly quickly garnered a lot of faith in this guy.
Absolutely. I think that they want to run the ball now. Weird that they want to run it now that Miles Sanders is gone, but they want to run it. So I guess all credit to them. Juice up Jordan Howard.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on Jordan Howard. I just think that's a very crowded backfield where a lot of guys could end up succeeding. I mean, the week where they won 44-6 against the Lions, everyone had a good day rushing. So I'm not really sold on anybody owning that backfield as a number one guy yet.
Yeah, fair enough. You really don't know how they're going to spread that ball on any given week. But another offense where you're really not sure where they're going to spread the ball any week is another guy who I think you should add this week, who's Cole Beasley. And for him, I think the targets are way more, set in stone at this point. He seems to be Josh Allen's sort of intermediate short target guy when they can't seem to get the ball moving on the ground. So, and they've been struggling to get the ball moving on the ground a lot this year. Zach Moss and Singletary, neither one has really emerged too much as a dominant back. So Beasley, I think he has a high floor. What do you guys think about him?
I think he should be on rosters already. Like, it's amazing he's not. He's had a higher ceiling so far this year than Stephon Diggs. So Cole Beasley also obviously has a lower floor. Beasley should be if you're having trouble, right, and you picked Allen Robinson saying the third round, then you should be starting Cole Beasley at your flex. Simply put.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Cole Beasley should be someone who was already in rosters. If he's still on there, you definitely need to go pick him up, especially if you're lacking at the wide receiver position, especially in a situation like Nick said.
Yeah, he's if you're down somebody in your flex spot, you need a guy to plug in. Beasley is definitely one of the best guys sitting on people's benches that's set for that position. And another guy I'm going to talk about right now, he's really elevated up the fantasy charts the last couple weeks. The Steelers love him as a red zone option, Pat Freiermuth. I think this guy has a lot of promise. In their most recent game against the Bears, he had 2 receiving, seemed to be dominant in the red zone. And I think they lean on him more when they get in the red zone from now going forward. So I think he's an add and give him a start. What do you guys think about him?
Yeah, fortunately for me, I have a rotisserie high stakes big buy in fantasy league, and down by 18, 18 points out of the money. I start Pat Freiermuth, gets me 21. I mean, I'm a big fan. I think when Ben's got a tight end that he trusts, especially because Pat Freiermuth reminds him of Heath Miller. He said that he loved Heath Miller, so I definitely would run with Pat Freiermuth. If your tight end is Noah Fant, if you lost Logan Thomas, you're looking at Dalton Schultz, those kind of guys. Freiermuth is just as good as Dalton Schultz or any of those guys in that conversation.
Yeah, no, Nick, you kind of touched on most of the points that I wanted to say. I definitely think that, and aiding you as well, he definitely is someone who you want to pick up. He's gonna be looked at in the red zone down the stretch, and yeah, he had a pretty good week last week.
Absolutely. So that kind of concludes our time to draw. All right, our let's add him and give him a start. I'm gonna run through some guys. Time to drop. Get these guys off your roster. All right, Miles Sanders. I mean, when are they gonna get a clue? They don't use him when he's there, and then they run the ball when he's gone. Clearly, they have no trust in the guy. Cut him off your roster because if you have to start him, you're obviously not in playoff contention.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, I don't like
well
Miles
said.
Sanders.
Miles Sanders.
I think Sanders, he's just not he's not a great player to have on rosters at this point. Even when he comes back, there's so many other mouths to feed in that backfield. Don't like him at all.
Yeah, so the next guy I'm going to point out, 2 cuff running backs. I'm doing both at the same time. Pollard, Hubbard. Now, McCaffrey's injury prone. We've said that, but I feel like he's going to be there for the rest of the year. The only reason you keep Chuba Hubbard on your roster is if your running back 1 is Christian McCaffrey. Hubbard got to go. Pollard, he's also got to go. The usage is coming down as Zeke's usage is going up. If Zeke gets hurt, Pollard is an immediate RB1 though, so you will understand your loss. Now, this is if you're picking up, this is basically drop these guys if you're going to pick up one of the guys above that we just talked about, right? This is basically what that is. So drop Hubbard unless you have McCaffrey. Drop Pollard unless you need a handcuff to Zeke. Otherwise, if you don't have those guys, there's no reason to have them on your roster.
I agree with Chuba Hubbard. Actually, no, my bad. I agree with Pollard. I think Chuba Hubbard, since Christian McCaffrey has been injury prone, that's definitely someone, if you have the space on your bench, you want to keep him because down the stretch, you never know. I mean, come playoff time, say worst case scenario, Christian McCaffrey's out. Chuba Hubbard might be your saving grace because you know he's going to have the starting job if McCaffrey goes down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a tough call with guys like Hubbard. I think he's going to be one of those guys like Dearness Johnson where, you pick him up when the starting back is out, gets dropped to waivers, and then starting back gets hurt again or gets COVID, and you end up having to go for him off waivers. I think that's going to be Hubbard. But, if you're in this spot where you do have an extra spot for him and you can stash him away, do it because Christian McCaffrey is very likely to get hurt again, to be honest. He's always getting hurt. And then A-Rob and Galladay, just no-brainer, drop them. They don't provide anything of fantasy value at this point.
Yeah, Kenny Galladay's always hurt. Now A-Rob's hurt again, and he's on a bye week. It's time to cut bait. It's time to let go. Bad season for A-Rob. Although Galladay is getting healthy, and I see a chance for Galladay to be a decent back or a decent wide receiver. He has the chemistry with Daniel Jones. The Giants' line should be getting better, and the reason the Giants don't throw the ball down the field to Galladay is A, he's never healthy, and B, the line can't hold up. Well, with Andrew Thomas, their left tackle, coming back, maybe Galladay's got some future value, but if you're picking up Cole Beasley, Dearness Johnson, a Derek Carr, if you need a quarterback, Pat Fryermuth, let Galladay go. Let him go. All right, Andrew. Andrew's going to host a new section, a new game we're going to play for the fantasy side. Andrew, tell him about this game.
Yeah, so basically we're going to go through a trade for or trade away scenarios. I just kind of want a yes or no out of each of you, and then we'll go in depth about a couple of them at the end of this. So I just want to hear a yes or no out of both of you. Trade for Saquon Barkley's the first guy.
No,
I disagree. Yes, you're trading for Saquon Barkley. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you trade for Saquon Barkley? I mean, put it to you this way, right? I mean, I know the guy's injury prone. He's very injury prone, but you look at the Giants' offense; they're getting healthy. This looks like the best buy low candidate you can get right now.
Yeah, my only issue with Barkley is I know that Judge, after a career week out of Devontae Booker, said that he does plan to get him involved more now, and he specifically mentioned the fact that dual backfields where you have a committee are a threat in the NFL nowadays. So if Saquon, when Saquon comes back, I think the injury risk is down a little bit, but I think the volume is also down because Booker is going to see a few touches every game.
All right, next player we got. Trade for Stephon Diggs.
No, trade for or trade away.
Yeah, so Diggs is tough. I'm going to say trade him away because I think his floor is pretty solid, but I don't think he's one of those guys this year that could win you a fantasy matchup. But the thing that's good about him is he still has that name value, and he's still in a very, very good offense. So you could probably trade him away for a more reliant piece or somebody who has that boom potential that Diggs lacks this year.
I say trade for, and I'll tell you trade for why. His upcoming schedule: the Jets, the Colts, the Saints, and the Patriots are tough. But he does have a schedule down the line. But the next couple weeks are good. So if you're going to trade, you should trade for him now. And if your league has a pushed back trade deadline, trade him away after he blows up in the next couple weeks. I think he will blow up against the Jets and against the Colts. That's just my opinion.
All right, and then next guy, trade for or trade away, Daryl Henderson.
Henderson, I'm going to say trade for. I like Henderson a lot, and I know he's been that 17-point a game guy this year, and that's like incredible considering he had to step in last minute for Cam Akers. But he finally had a bust week recently. I think he scored like 8 or 9 points in their most recent loss. I think if you can get him from somebody who's kind of down on him this week, I think you absolutely get him because he is one of the best floors in fantasy football.
I agree. Trade for Daryl Henderson. Schedule down the line is pretty good. I believe the Rams have one of the best upcoming schedules for running back in fantasy football. So I agree with you there. Definitely trade for Daryl Henderson. He's a guy you definitely want to get on your roster.
And then a guy here, the next guy we're going to go over for trade for and trade away. Jamar Chase. If you're a Jamar Chase owner, hold him. There has been no reason. I don't think you should capitalize on a high because I think he's going to continue to do what he's doing. And I don't think he's going to drop so low at a bunch of weeks where it's going to be like, damn, why didn't I get rid of him when he was playing well? I think Jamar Chase is a guy you 100% just keep. So that's just my opinion. I know that's not trade for, trade away, but keep him.
I disagree with you, Andrew, and it actually has not much to do with my confidence in him going forward. It's just the fact that I think that his name value is incredibly high right now. And I think the Bengals are going to kind of start to come down to earth, not necessarily saying Jamar will, but I think that, they're starting to spread the targets out a little more. T. Higgins, I think, is equal to him in targets. Boyd is getting more involved. I think if you can get this massive package for Jamar Chase, go for it because he's going to come down to earth a little bit and, you win that trade.
I disagree. Outside the first couple of weeks, Jamar Chase has only had one game with under 9 targets. Outside of the first 3 weeks, he's only had one game with under 9 targets. And he's got to play teams like Vegas, bad corners. Pittsburgh, corners aren't good this year. Chargers, the corners are really beat up. San Fran has no corners. Denver's, and then you look in the playoffs. Denver's kind of tough. Baltimore's kind of tough. But KC, if you can get to the championship with Jamar Chase against Kansas City, that game will be an absolute shootout. I think you should go buy Jamar Chase.
Next guy, we got Chris Godwin.
This is a trade away candidate. He's put up 24 plus in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, with AB getting out of the walking boot, I think it was this morning. He's gonna get leaned back into that offense, and not only that, but I think that a lot of Godwin's recent success has just come from the fact that Evans is getting shut down in these games, and that's not something that is gonna last. It's not something you can depend on. So trade Godwin, trade him away for somebody you think is more
Jamar
consistent.
Chase. Trade him for Jamar Chase. Get rid of Godwin. I agree with Aiden. Here's the thing. Godwin has had a pretty season. But when Brown went out, he went up like this, right? And it's because Brady likes that one guy. There's always one guy. There's a big play guy, which is Evans, and then there's the guy, and that was Antonio Brown. And Godwin took the position after Brown left. When Brown comes back, Godwin's not going to be that guy anymore. I definitely think you should move on from him.
And then the first quarterback we got on the list, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen, I say trade away, but it's not something that I think is some easy decision. It's not a no-brainer. But the reason why I say trade away is because they have gotten their running backs more involved recently, which actually does hurt Jalen. Jalen, most of his fantasy value this year comes from the running the ball and, getting those rushing touchdowns. So, I think they have this good cycle now between Howard, Scott, and I just think I think Jalen, he's not guaranteed to be that 20-point-a-week guy from now on. And I think if you could still sell him to somebody as that sort of guy, get someone high on Jalen, then sell him.
So here's my issue with that. Schedule. Simply put, the schedule doesn't allow for you to sell Jalen Hurts. Now, Denver this week, tough matchup. New Orleans next week, tough matchup. Then he plays the Giants. Then he plays the Jets. And the Giants, they do allow you to run a little bit. The Giants, then the Jets. Then he's a bye. So for your fantasy playoffs, he's playing Washington, the Giants, and Washington again. I'm going to pretend I'm not wearing a Giants jersey here, okay? But that's a good schedule. Just saying.
And then the last of the running backs we have on our list, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, another tough call. I say you trade this guy away. I know his value is down right now. AJ Dillon has started to be phased into that offense. You could tell that the Packers like what they're seeing out of AJ Dillon. And this last week specifically, AJ Dillon had 4 targets to Jones's 0. So that's something to monitor. If they're starting to use Dillon in the passing game over Jones, that's a very big deal as a Jones fantasy owner. I think you should trade him away right now.
I disagree. Just a little bit. I agree. I don't know. This one's tough. Aaron Jones is so boomer bust. If you can get something good for him, because people draft him as his top running back, if you can get something good for Aaron Jones, take it. Take it. Honestly, take it. But I don't believe you'll be getting the package that you want for Aaron Jones. And that's why I think you should probably try to trade. Don't trade for him, but don't trade him away unless you can get something that's really good, because honestly, people are going to undervalue him now. And if they do, then it's their loss, right? It's their loss.
All right, guys, that's been this new little segment we got going on. So trade for, trade away. Let me guys know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with some of the opinions that these guys had today. And this has been the fantasy side. Remember, subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications. Go follow us on our socials. And we got videos every day. We're trying to keep you guys in the loop on all NFL content possible. And thank you guys for watching this video.